Welcome back to episode 3. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about the invisible forces of persuasion, influence, and comparison. So I think will we start off with comparison?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
So why do we have this kind of need, or like why are we always comparing ourselves to everyone online?
So first of all, we're not just doing it online, right? So comparison is fundamentally part of who we are as humans and how we know ourselves. So how we learn about ourselves is interaction with other people. And if we want to know what we can achieve, we tend to compare ourselves to people who are doing a little bit better than us at that thing. So let's say you join the gym and you've done no exercise for years and you're super unfit. You look at somebody who's in the gym maybe 6 months or a year and you think, okay, well, that's what I can get to in that time. If you want to feel good about yourself, you might look at someone who's never been in the gym in their life and is really unfit and go, well, at least I'm fitter than them. So that's what we tend to do. It can cause problems when we start comparing ourselves to people who are doing way better than us. So you join the gym, you're really unfit, you look at an Olympian and you go, that's where I want to be. And of course you're not going to be, right? Not anytime soon anyway. And so if we're constantly doing that, and constantly comparing every aspect of ourselves to people who are just unattainable or not necessarily real, which we'll talk about, then we can start to feel like depressed. It can make us quite anxious. So it's not really good. But when we go online, we do the same thing, right? Because obviously if we're doing it offline, we're going to do it online. And we also have a lot more information online to compare ourselves to. So we automatically want to do this. Some people have a tendency to do it more than others. Some people are generally okay with themselves and don't do it as much. But we compare ourselves to whoever we see online. So this is where who we choose to follow becomes really important, right? So if you're only following let's take the gym example again. You're only following like the fittest fitness influencers and Olympians and people like that. You're going to not feel great about yourself, right? Because you're not there. But if you follow people who are much more ordinary and maybe a bit of a time into exercising and they're like, look, this is what worked for me. I was super unfit, but like this plan worked for me and let's be realistic about our goals and what do you actually want from it? That's much more healthy. Or if you follow your friends and that's who you're connected with, people you know. So rather than people who are influencers, who are unattainable, who are presenting only one tiny aspect of their life in a very, very curated way, that isn't real and isn't any of the behind the scenes stuff, that is much more unattainable and that's much more problematic because you start to envy them, you don't feel good about yourself, and that can lead to issues.
So someone kind of more closer to your goal, more achievable. And it's like having that healthy balance of comparison, because if it's like a positive comparison, could it be used as like motivation for your goal?
Absolutely. So it's really interesting, like that's such an interesting point. So there's different types of envy, right? And envy is the feeling of pain you get when you see somebody else that has something that you would like to have, right? So you see a really fit person and you're like, oh my God, I really want to be fit, but I'm not. And you don't feel good. But benign envy, which is the more positive kind, right? So you don't feel good about it, but you think, but look how hard they work. That's so inspirational. I'm going to try work hard too, because I really would like to be more like that. Toxic envy, on the other hand, makes you want to tear that person down to your level. And that doesn't allow for personal growth. So if you can see somebody as an inspiration, then that can be quite good for you. Again, you don't want to be trying to constantly achieve something that's unattainable, but it can be useful to act as an inspiration. But if it makes you feel really bad and it makes you want to comment horrible things under their post to try and tear them down, that's not really good.
So it's having that healthy relationship with the comparison in a way.
And
that kind of leads into then the creators and the people that we're looking up to influencing us, because they have a lot of power to influence us to do things, buy things, believe in things on social media.
Absolutely. And social media has really caused an explosion in the amount of people trying to persuade us to do things, and in a more intimate way than they would have had power before. So we might have seen, you know, actors or famous people on TV trying to sell us stuff, or on posters or in magazines. But you didn't get into their life. You didn't get that day-to-day experience, like they were talking to you or interacting with you in the comments. And so there is a lot of power there. And they use different kinds of ways of gaining credibility. So one kind of credibility is just being really popular. Because if you see someone who has 1 million followers and they're giving advice, you think, well, all those people can't be wrong. You know, so that gives some power credibility. if they say they're a doctor in something, like I'm a doctor in something, do not listen to medical advice from me. I am not a medical doctor, okay? But there are people who are like chiropractors or dentists or other things who are giving medical advice and telling you to take supplements and telling you to do particular things. And that name of doctor gives them a lot of credibility. They'll even do really simple things. You get completely fake doctors online who are AI generated. You've got ones who'll put on a stethoscope or a white coat or something like that to give the appearance of being a doctor when they're not. And then you've got real doctors who are saying things that are completely against what every other doctor believes. So they're using, again, that credibility of authority. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. So having very high production values is also very convincing because it looks like something professional, like someone who's really invested, really invested time into it. It's high quality. So you think, well, that is more likely to be true, right? So they must have also put some time into the research. Not necessarily. When you've got somebody like the Kardashians, they're very popular, they're really well followed, they're very thin. And so when they're recommending something like a slimming tea, which is just not great, you think, well, they must use it. And of course they don't. That's not what they're doing. They have a whole suite of experts who are helping them look whatever way they are, along with Photoshop and various other things. So we tend to believe that, and we think that if somebody's advertising something that they must believe in it as well, particularly when it's related to something that they do. So there is a lot of power there, and it can be used for good or bad, right? So we're talking more about bad stuff here. So encouraging people to, you know, restrict their diets a lot or use supplements that aren't good for them, or engage in behaviors that are not great for them. But you've also got people doing the opposite, who are trying to give people information about what's actually healthy for them. Or, you know, you've got a lot of micro-influencers, so that might be people with like 5,000 or fewer or 10,000 followers, so not many, but they're in a really niche area and their followers feel like they really know them. So if they're selling something or influencing around something, that's believable because you feel like that's something they actually care about. If you've got someone who's like crocheting and they're like saying this wool's really good, you believe that more because that feels more authentic to them. So there can be really good influence like that. There can be people who are trying to break the myths of what other influencers are doing. So like I follow a fitness influencer, Ben Carpenter, and he's fantastic. So he breaks down the nonsense that other people are peddling about particular diets or things that you have to eat. And he says, this is not scientifically accurate. And he also does things where he compares photographs. So he's very fit, but he compares photographs of himself with bad lighting, with his like just relaxed, versus 2 seconds later with some good lighting and like, you know, flexing. And how much difference it makes. And that's the images that we see online promoted as the everyday body of these people. So there's people doing really, really good work and kind of accurate work as well.
And it's like adding that real, genuine and like personal touch to their feed to connect more with the audience. And then on that point you said about how we tend to believe people with like, say, 1 million followers. Does that, what I'm kind of getting from that is that we're giving them the power in a way. So we're allowing them to have that space, to have that power to influence us back. Is that what I'm kind of getting?
And to influence other people. So it's like other people see the amount of followers as an indication that they're worth following. So if you're hate following people, you are giving other people the impression that this is someone worth following. And also you're putting stuff into your feed that's going to outrage you and not make you feel good. So might not be a great strategy as well. And we were kind of speaking about the negative and positive influences. How can you tell the difference between being positively influenced and then more being taken advantage of? I think what you have to do is look at who is this person and what are they getting out of what they're saying. So pretty much anyone trying to sell you supplements is not influencing you positively, right? Like real doctors, real researchers don't sell supplements. Supplements is a giveaway for a grift. But try and look at what people are saying and whether you can verify it using other sources, whether it actually fits into the mainstream of what like medical professionals believe, fitness professionals believe, because there are a lot of people who are a doctor or are a fitness professional saying things that are very, 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 very unhealthy. So trying to verify your sources and make sure that where you're getting your information from is actually accurate and reputable. So if it's medical information, like it should be a thing that most doctors agree on. If it's like the thing that doctors don't want you to hear about, doctors want you to know what is healthy. So stuff like that is a problem. Anything that advertises itself as a question. So is this the answer to obesity? Anything like that, it's always no, right? The answer is always no. Is this green coffee beans the answer to cancer? No, it's not.
How come is that? I never actually thought of it that way.
It's kind of illegal to say that it is the answer. So they phrase it as a question to give themselves like some leverage. But it also draws you in because you're like, is it?
Yeah.
But it's actually no. It's not.
And then if it doesn't work, they don't get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So be careful of those kind of things. Also things that make you feel emotional. So they'll really heighten your emotion because that reduces how much you're able to think logically. So our emotion like overrides our logical brain. So anything like that is really good to pay attention to. So if it makes you really excited, really outraged, anything like that, be careful of those kind of things.
And I think that also kind of leads into the use of AI generated content that influences us. Like if we see someone and they're AI generated, but they're like, I want to be like that, but it's not real. Do you have any like tips or ways to kind of detect that it's AI? I know on TikTok there is this new feature at the bottom where it's like possibly AI generated, but like say Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, they don't have the same features.
No.
Is there a way to kind of
and there might be stuff getting through that isn't labeled,
Yeah.
and then you automatically believe that that's okay because it's not labeled. So that can be a problem as well. It's getting harder and harder, right? So there are some things at the moment to look out for, but in 6 months' time, those might be gone. So looking out for, you know, the fingers thing is an obvious one, but things in the background, are things a little too blurry? Where is the camera? Who's holding the camera? Why was it there? Things like that to try and spot stuff. Sometimes skin texture, but people use filters a lot, so it's hard to know. I think AI is going to be increasingly used for this. I mean, there's already an example on Facebook and Instagram of an AI created doctor, and they took a real doctor, so his image and his name and his credibility, but created an AI version of him to sell supplements. So it's about being paranoid almost about everything that you're seeing, because there is so much fake content trying to get you to buy things, to believe things. There's an awful lot of AI content that's mis and disinformation as well, which is about getting us to believe certain things. A lot of it is specifically designed to create division in society and to have us all arguing with each other. A lot of content is designed to bait us into, you know, rage and commenting and engaging with stuff. And it can be hard to know what's real and what's not. And so I was saying in a previous piece about taking a moment before you engage with things to say, is this real? And also, why am I finding it so interesting? Is it because it's outrageous? And so that might not be a real thing. So I don't need to, this isn't what I really want on my feed, so I don't need to interact with this. I would like real content, so I'm going to deprioritize this kind of content.
So kind of taking that moment to pause and look at it and be like, a moment of reflection, basically. And AI is used a lot in catfishing. That's going to be more and more so. And especially with, I think, the increase, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the increase of online dating. And I think catfishing and AI plays a big role in that. Could you explain that a little bit for us?
I think that's the future of catfishing, because at the moment, like if you're being catfished, the typical strategy people use at the moment to create a catfish account is to find images of like an influencer somewhere else or somebody online somewhere else with an open profile, steal their pictures and use that. So you could do, if you think you're being catfished, or even if you don't think you are, like if you're going to meet somebody that you don't know on a date, it's not a bad idea to do a Google reverse image search of their photograph to make sure that they are who they say they are. If people start using AI though, that may not necessarily show up something, right? But you may get nothing, which is also unusual these days. Now, some people have no profiles online, that's fine, but a lot of people have something. You may not be able to see their profile, but you'll see they have a profile somewhere. So that might be worth doing anyway. But yeah, AI is going to make it, because at the moment, if you're stealing somebody's images, you have a limited amount of images of different things. And so you can only say that you're doing those things and have images to back them up. If you have AI, you can create whatever you want. And so it'll make it harder to spot. But also, like, one of the things I would say to somebody is, like, if the person says they can't meet for whatever reason, like with romance scams, they say they're abroad, and that's why they can't meet. With someone who's supposed to be more local, they will invent things that happened. Oh, my grandmother died and I have the funeral, or my car crashed, so that they can't meet you. Then have a video chat. So if they won't video chat, huge red flag, right? That's not a real person.
That's their time to go.
Especially if they're like, oh, my camera phone's broken. There's always a way. You can find a way. And so with the increase of AI, they may be able to create AI video to have a limited chat, not a very long chat. It's not super convincing just yet, but it's getting better. And if they're paying to do it, they can actually get a pretty good convincing one that just takes their video and puts another face on it. So they could have a long conversation. So yeah, it's a huge problem, and it's something that we don't have amazing strategies to deal with yet. I think it is about coming at everything from a cautious perspective, and checking that things are real before you interact. So that's it for us today. I think we all learned lots and lots. Thank you so much for chatting with me. You're very welcome.
Stay tuned.